Good morning, everybody. Looks like that intro kind of just cut out on us there, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's Saturday. It's playoff weekend. We're already down to 4 football games, which is unbelievable. Thinking that we've got just a few more weeks, and we're going to be talking about our new Super Bowl champion right here. With me today, I got my man Joe. Joe, how we doing this morning? What's going on?
Best weekend of the year for football. I mean, last weekend, 6 games. I mean, we had 5 stinkers, 4, I guess you could argue that Cincy game, but this weekend, and the best thing, I was looking at the schedule this weekend, it almost is like the NFL gave us like the worst to the best for this weekend too. Like the least compelling of the 4 games, I think, is the first game, Cincy, Tennessee. Second, Green Bay, San Francisco tonight, and then tomorrow is like the main event. Like you got that Rams Bucks game, and then they lift the best for last Sunday night, Bills Chiefs.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I would write this story down if I was writing it down in a book myself. I think that's almost the perfect schedule as far as it goes, because you start with the lightweights. I think Tennessee Cincinnati might actually be a pretty decently scoring game, although I think Tennessee kind of runs away with it. Unfortunately, I think Cincinnati's little fun parade is going to hit the proverbial wall today. So we'll see what happens there. But I completely agree. I think the exciting games are tomorrow. But that leaves us still with plenty of good plays that we have on the slate today. We're going to be talking about our full week slate. So we're going to be playing today and tomorrow. We can crack down a lot of these into single game slates as well. How did you do last week, Joe, as far as it went?
Well, Patrick Mahomes kind of saved me. My main, the main slate 6-game lineup, I was looking, and I had a couple of stinkers. I had a Buffalo receiver that didn't really do the job. Darrell Williams had negative points for Kansas City last week when he was supposed to start. But I had the Mahomes-Kelsey kind of stack combo. So it got me through. Did all right on the 6-game slate. I'm telling it, I'll testify again. Those 2-game slates, especially this weekend, like I'm excited about the 4-game lineup, but I feel really comfortable with the Saturday only 2-game lineup and the Sunday only 2-game lineup. So get creative when you're out there making when you're thinking about how you're going to spend your balance on these DFS sites, and you're thinking about your lineups and what you're going to get creative and take advantage of those smaller slates, especially if, anytime, like Cam Akers, for example. 50, and I'm going to talk a lot about Cam Akers today, so I'll just start right from now. 5,700, 18 touches last week. He's already taken the job for Sony Michel. So, like, right off the bat, it's one thing to get Akers for that 4-game slate, but getting them even is more important for, like, the 2-game, just, Sunday-only slate, take advantage of his price. So when you got a cheap guy that you like, think about all the contests that he's in that you can utilize him and take advantage of that play for. You know what I mean? Not just that main, 4-gamer or full slate, as we call it.
Right. Absolutely. No, I think as far as it went last week for me, I did not good, Bob. Not so good. It was a bad deal overall. I had a lot of guys like that I was playing contrarian to. Josh Allen, in fact, was my fade of the week. But if you also listened to the show last week, you can also hear me say, I am saying this just to throw it out there against the energy. So that way Josh Allen has a huge game. And sure enough, Josh Allen went out there and did exactly that. So take that, fantasy gods. I wish I would have actually just played him out there, because God, he balled out. But most of my slates, I got about 60 to 80 points. It was just a bad week overall as far as it goes. We'll go ahead and kick off our Those Shall Not Pass, which is for me this week, it's going to be Tom Brady. I don't think Tom Brady's going to get a whole lot done against the Rams. The Rams defense has been looking just on fire lately. And I mean, I don't really see him turning around anytime, and being able to be warm here in Tampa, they're going to be just fine. I see them being able to get up about 30 points quick, and Tom Brady's going to be doing exactly what they want him to do, and that's being pressured every single play with Donald coming in the way he's been playing this postseason. The coach is nice enough to at least leave us some notes this week here. So his non-quarterback fade of the week is Derrick Henry, which leads us into Jeff Match's question right here. He says, will Derrick Henry have a big comeback game? And we'll go ahead and answer that with Coach right here. He says, for 2 reasons. He says, one, he hasn't seen him play in quite some time. And 2, everybody and their mother will have him in their lineup. So I don't really see him having a huge comeback game. I think the fact that Derrick Henry is playing is a really, really good sign that he's ready to get back out there. And he's one of those guys that's so dynamic that if he's on the field, he's going to be able to pound it down their throat. So I agree with it's going to probably be a highly played volume play. I think you can see people like Dante Foreman come in and vulture a couple of touchdowns even. Especially if Derrick Henry has like a big breakout play and gets kind of in the 20, gets him to the red zone. I can see him shifting back to the backs that got him there. So for me, I'm kind of fading Derrick Henry as well. How do you feel about Derrick Henry, Joe?
Yeah, he's probably going to surprise us and do more than we think because they need him. However, I'm kind of with Coach here. It's funny. He's 7,500 on DraftKings. I think he's 9,000 on FanDuel. So my struggle with him on FanDuel was, there is a variable of the fact that he hasn't played in 11 weeks now. And, with it being a playoff slate, there's a lot of quality. There's Joe Mixon this weekend. There's, Mitchell. There's Singletary, who's been lighting it up. So it's just hard to take the chance on Henry. And to your point, Foreman's been great. And Foreman's definitely getting touches today too. So yeah, it's hard to get him in there. I will say this, it will not shock me at all if Henry goes for 100 yards and a touchdown today. It won't shock me, but it's hard to get him in the lineup this week when, in my opinion, you have safer options.
Safer and cheaper options.
And cheaper,
for sure. Yep, no doubt. You can actually open up a whole lot more lineup with the thing. As a matter of fact, I had Dante Foreman in my my weekend slate, although I am going to change that to Cam Akers. I've been kind of sitting on the fence about that call all morning, and so that's one that I've you actually kind of convinced me there. I think he's going to be productive. I don't really like the idea of playing up against the Tampa Bay defense because they're very, very stout against the run. But the one thing that I can think that I really like about him today is the fact that he'll be a high volume play if they're playing ahead, and I feel like the Rams should be playing ahead relatively early. Our man Jeff also says Odell Beckham has been a force as of late. Does this trend continue? I think it does. I think we see Odell Beckham Jr. just keep doing what he does best, and that's get open and catch the football when it's thrown his way. Matt Stafford is almost looking at him as much as he's looking at Cooper Kupp, which is a ton. But I feel like Cooper Kupp's going to have himself a day. I feel like OBJ is going to kind of just get the overflow of that, which should be good enough. I mean, for at least, 60 yards and a touch. Well, how do you feel about OBJ today?
Yeah, like Akers and OBJ, I think for the price, they're good plays. I don't think OBJ's, ready to go for 10, 150 and 2 touchdowns. But for his price, which I think is the low 6,000s, if I remember on FanDuel, could he go for 675 and a touchdown? Yes. And that's a good day for that price. Just like Cam Akers, I agree with you. I don't think he's busting out for 25, 175 and 2 touchdowns. But at 5,700, if he gives you 70 rushing yards, 30 receiving yards, and then you get that touchdown, that's a great day for the price. So I think, if you temper your expectations and keep them realistic, you can have success with OBJ and Akers today. But you can't have OBJ as your number one wide receiver for the 4-game slate or anything.
Right. Yep, you definitely don't want to be in that situation. And speaking of guys that we're going to be getting into and paying up for, same kind of matchup. And me and Coach actually both had the same guy. We both had Cooper Kupp. He's 8,600 on DraftKings. He's 9,500 on FanDuel. We both mentioned his measly 17-point week last week against the team that he should have really played up against. And I mean, that's where you're seeing a little bit of the OBJ effect happening there, in my opinion. But Cooper Kupp will be just fine. He's going to do it again today. I think they're going to have to lean on him pretty heavy early to get ahead in this game, which I feel like they will. Coach said, like he said about the 17 points, but he expects a better performance against a poor Bucs secondary. And I mean, yeah, they can stop the run. They can't really stop the pass too well. So same reason why I'm paying up for Cooper Kupp. You have somebody different though, Joe. Who do you got as your player?
And I like Kupp. And, the Rams played from ahead all like real. Let's be honest. Arizona, 5 minutes into that game, you knew they weren't scoring much. So the Rams never had pressure to get Kupp a lot of heavy volume, and he still got 17. So I do think he's primed for a big day because the Rams, I think, do have to put up, 24-30 to win this game today.
Yeah,
So
you don't
Cup's
want to
gonna
let
play
Tom
well.
Brady you don't want to give Tom Brady any space. He's the
Exactly,
kind of quarterback
exactly.
that'll figure you out and get ahead of you quick.
But my pay up for the week is Devonta Adams, so I'm going wide out. I'm going number one wide out like everybody else. I'm saving a little bit of money. He's 8,700 on FanDuel, so you save 800 over Cup. And listen, this game for Aaron Rodgers, if you think about the last 18 months for Aaron Rodgers, this game, he will look like the biggest asshole in the history of pro sports if he loses this game tonight. Just from all of the virus stuff to all of the Packer preseason stuff and everything in between, he has got to be on tonight. And I believe at Lambeau at night, he will be. And if he's on, that means Devonta Adams is going to have a big game. And, Cup, Deebo Samuel gets the rushes. But with Adams, I feel like Cup's going to have more yards. He's probably going to have more reception, but Adams probably has the best shot of having multiple touchdowns. So that's why I'm going with Adams and saving that $800 there.
That's a good call. I definitely don't argue that. I think they're going to have to lean on him heavy to beat that San Francisco team that's been kind of on fire, but it looks like that Green Bay defense is going to be full strength. We're going to go ahead and ride the playoff wave. Players who are on a hot streak that we're going to play until they cool off. And for the coach, that's Jerick McKinnon versus Buffalo. He had 14 points in Week 18 versus Denver, followed up with the 26-point performance last week against Pittsburgh. So both defenses are no slouches, and he still put up good numbers. Even if CEH is back, he's going to ride this wave until he falls off. The cost is just too good for the possible upside. Yeah, 4,800 on DraftKings. I think he's 5,500 on FanDuel. That's a really, really good cheap price for a guy who should be expected to see the lion's share of the volume there. And I agree, even with CEH out there, I think they're going to lean on him just because he's proven that he can be that role position that they wanted him to come in there and be. They tried it with Le'Veon Bell. They tried it with a lot of different players, and they just couldn't get that real successful go. It's not going to be CEH breakout week, so I'm good with leaning on Jerick McKinnon.
My one thing there, though, and I'm looking up now because the news is so fluid injury-wise, but Darrell Williams is like a game-time decision. So I'll be completely honest. If Darrell Williams is playing, I think it's a real home run. Or, it's a Hail Mary play because now you're in a crowded backfield of three guys.
Right.
And if Williams is out, then I do believe that McKinnon's a really good play, and I think he could be really relevant in the passing game for them too. But I don't feel great about it if all three of those guys are active and ready to go. That's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, nope. I like that take right there because you even have Gore that's getting in the mix as well. So for me, that's kind of a hard fade as far as anything coming out of that backfield. Plus, I think this game gets mostly done through the air if we're going to win, if we're Kansas City, because Josh Allen's probably going to be ready to get out there and hurl it. He says a lot of great quarterbacks. Our man Jeff says a lot of great quarterbacks this week. Who is the best out of the 8 today? I'm going to go ahead and lean out there. I'm going to say Josh Allen gets it done. I think Josh Allen is able to win in Kansas City. Honorable mention to Ryan Tannehill, who's been kind of like the unsung hero of the season. I mean, let's look at what Tennessee's doing right now. They took last week off because they were the best team in the AFC. And I don't think at any time we kind of sat there and said, wow, this guy's going to be the best player in the AFC. But here we are. He's got his team into a position where they're playing at home. I mean, every road to the Super Bowl leads through Tennessee right now. So I really like both of those guys. I think, like I said, I think that both of those defenses are fairly formidable. So it could be a very low-scoring affair. But I think they're going to both be able to overcome that and get things done. I think Buffalo comes out on top. I think Tennessee comes out on top.
I think from a fantasy perspective, it was pretty clear when I sat down yesterday and started making my 4-game slate. It was going to be 2 lineups, one with Josh Allen and one with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not fucking around anymore. We're 20 weeks in, and it's amazing. All of the upsets, all of the craziness, and look at who we're talking about playing today and tomorrow. Tom fucking Brady, Aaron fucking Rodgers, Patrick fucking Mahomes, and Josh fucking Allen, the best 4 quarterbacks. So why are we pretending and why are we trying to fit a nail in a, what are we trying to do here? Even with Joe Burrow, why? You got Mahomes, Allen, Brady, and Rodgers, 3 of them playing at home. from a fantasy perspective, you got to go with what you know. There's no fade there. There's no fade in that Buffalo Kansas City game, especially with Kansas City, because they have no running game right now. We're just talking about three different guys. So from strictly a fantasy perspective, it would almost be shocking to me if both Allen and Mahomes don't go for 30 points apiece. And though Tom Brady could do that, and Aaron Rodgers may do that, those guys don't average that. Tannehill doesn't touch 30 points. Burrow's had a couple of flashes, but they're playing a good defense today. So, like, sometimes I just feel like people overthink with DFS. You can't do it in a league because your roster is your roster, right? But with DFS, you have all sorts of options. But I really think we got to keep it simple here. You got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. It's probably the best second-round playoff matchup in the history of the NFL. It really may be. I was thinking about it the other day. They're the two best teams in the AFC going at it now, in my opinion. They potentially are the two best teams in the NFL going at it this weekend. So we want to talk about riding the wave here on Toilets to Titles. I am riding the wave of the best two fantasy quarterbacks, and I'm playing each of them. And I'm not trying to decide which one's going to be better. I don't know. They're both going to be phenomenal, in my opinion. But to look anywhere else, I think people are just overthinking it this week.
I can agree with that, man, and that's a hell of a hot take on that. I really feel sad that I have Tannehill sitting in my lineup right now for my play today, because you make a damn good point, my man. We got a bounce back player of the week 1. We got from the coach. He says Cole Beasley at Kansas City. He's on board with this game. He says 4,000. He's gone cold. His last big performance came against the Bucs in week 15. He expects this game to be similar with the heavy fight on the lines and everything, and we're not going to be seeing all those huge haymakers, but there's going to have to be some body blows in there as well. So Cole Beasley's just that. He looked for about 7 to 11 receptions. I think that's a solid play. I think he can definitely see that kind of volume. My play is T. Higgins at Tennessee for 6,400. T. Higgins got one catch last week, very, very quiet. I think you're going to see a Tennessee defense that will be paying a ton of attention to Jamar Chase after the week he had last week. I think T. Higgins should open up a little bit to at least make this a competitive game, but I think Tennessee comes out on top. Who you got as your bounce back player of the week there, Joe?
Yeah, so I'll go from a hot take to humble pie, because as great as Josh Allen has been, one thing that I've struggled with is getting the right Buffalo receivers in my lineup from week to week, because it's been really hard to predict. So this week, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm taking the variability out, and I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs. And I'm going as a bounce back, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't great last week, 3 for 60 against the Patriots. Now, again, the Bills didn't have to throw the ball a lot in the second half of that game. They're going to have to throw the ball all game tonight. I expect Diggs to have a 2020 type Diggs game, close to double-digit receptions. Hopefully he gets in the end zone. But, and I understand, but Beasley, Sanders, and even Gabriel Davis, it's just been so hard to figure out which one of those guys is going to have a good game week to week. So I'm playing the percentages, and Diggs is the number one. I got to believe that he has a big day today.
Absolutely great play. I think Diggs I think anything in that game, like you're saying, that slate should have all the fireworks that we're expecting. It should be a damn good football game. What about your diamond in the rough? Who's your low ownership play this week?
Yeah, it's funny. During the season, we're finding guys that nobody's heard of going into the week that could be a legit diamond in the rough play. But now in the second round of the playoffs, we know everybody that's on the table here. But, so what I'm really looking at is value, and we'll go back to the Cam Akers play. Again, 5,400 last week, 18 touches, and he dropped what should have been a 50-yard pass reception too. But way more touches than Sony Michel. He's going to get more than Michel again today. He's 5,700, and it's not a great matchup. But again, if we can get 60 rushing yards, 30, 40 receiving yards, and maybe he gets in the end zone, that's a great day for 5,700. And for all these other guys we're talking about, the Cooks, the Devonta Adams, the quarterbacks that we want to play, in order to do so, you got to have somebody under 6,000 in the FanDuel lineup. So it's Cam Akers for me at 57.
And I like that play a lot. Like I said, I think you got me convinced on Cam Akers right here. As far
Real quick though, I forgot what I put in the notes, and it was an ode to you. So I usually I don't read right off of these, but I have to. The Sony Michel fad was relevant, but it's over now, and Cam is back. And unless they are coming from Myles Gaskin, Cheap, dirty job spot. 18 touches for 5,700 in the playoffs is value that shall not be ignored.
Amen to that right there. Never Gaskin. Hashtag never Gaskin. We have to keep that trend alive because people are going to be asking about him next season as well. Our man Joe Clark, what's up, buddy? How we doing this morning? Hope you're doing fine. And make sure you guys are following our show and keep up with Joe Knows. He's got all kinds of stuff going this off season right here. So we're going to go ahead and go with the lineups that we're playing. We got the full slate. Our coaches, we're going to go ahead and knock his out first here. He's got a DraftKings lineup. He's got his quarterback at Stafford at Tampa Bay for 6,200. His running backs are A.J. Dillon and Jarrett McKinnon, like he said earlier, versus San Francisco and Buffalo, respectively, at 5,100 for Dillon, 4,800 for McKinnon. The guy we're paying up for, Cooper Kupp at Tampa Bay at 8,600. Devontae Adams versus San Francisco at 8,500. Tyler Boyd at Tennessee for 4,800. I think he's kind of thinking the same thing I am with T. Higgins. We're going to have to lean away from Jamar Chase because they ought to be covering him like a blanket today. And then his flex is Cole Beasley at KC for 4,000. And his defense is the Rams at Tampa Bay for 3,000. The guys I'm going to be rolling out there this week on my FanDuel lineup is I got my quarterback Tannehill at Cincinnati versus Cincinnati, 7,300. Again, I think this guy's been kind of like the unsung hero. And I think they kind of make quick work of Cincinnati today. Dante Foreman versus Cincinnati, but that's going to change. That's going to be Cam Akers. You completely convinced me. And Derrick Henry coming back scares me just enough. But I really do feel like Dante Foreman is a guy that will still steal a couple of those red zone looks and touches there. Running back Elijah Mitchell at Green Bay for 7,300. Cooper Kupp at Tampa Bay for 9,500. Gabriel Davis at Kansas City because I feel like it's going to be a Gabriel Davis kind of a day right there. T. Higgins at Tennessee with that bounce back. Dawson Knox at Kansas City because Dawson Knox, I don't know if anybody read that on Twitter, but last night Josh Allen FaceTimed Dawson Knox 4 times to try to get him to play Xbox with him. That's the kind of relationship I want to have with my tight end.
That's why he gets all those red zone targets.
Well, yeah, exactly. Getting those red zone targets, and maybe he didn't answer his phone. And maybe that'll actually affect his performance today. He's going to be like, I ain't going to throw to you unless you play with me, man. Like, come on. My flex is going to be A.J. Brown versus Cincinnati at 7,600. I like Tannehill. That completely forces me to like A.J. Brown today. I think he can get it done in the end zone. And then my Rams at Tampa Bay is my defense for 4,300.
All right. So we're going FanDuel. And it's funny, too, because I like A.J. Brown today, too. I actually do. And I struggled to figure out a way to get him in my lineup, and I'll go over my consolation prize on that in a second. But we're going Josh Allen at KC, 8,700. We do have a lineup that's got Mahomes too, but I like this lineup the most with Allen. He's one thing about Josh Allen too, his personality. Like they had him on something the other day, or McAfee had him on, and he was talking about Belichick coming into the locker room after the game last week and congratulating him, and just. Josh Allen it seems to have become the perfect fit for that city and that team and that franchise and the personality that they want to be associated with. He really seems to have welcomed the whole Buffalo lifestyle.
Right, a real class act, and I feel like he would have done that anywhere he went. He's I watched this guy all the way through college. You can look at tape of me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even talking about how much I love Josh Allen and everything that guy brings to the table, and just how football savvy he is on the field, and just how much of a good guy and overall community leader that guy is off the field. Yeah. So I feel like he'd have fit in with anywhere, but man, what a deserving franchise. Yes. I feel like Buffalo's one of those good-hearted, old school, like football communities.
Listen, the fans are breaking tables. You see those?
Right.
Oh, it's the best. But all right, Josh Allen, 8,700 at KC. Devin Singletary at KC, 7,200. You can't ignore the touchdowns from him lately, and he's been so relevant in the red zone for them, and he's catching the ball too. So got to go Singletary. Cam Akers, 5,700 at Tampa. We paid up for the wideouts this week. Devonta Adams, 8,700 home against SF. Deebo Samuel at Green Bay, 8,600. Again, I've said it every week since it started, since the first time Elijah Mitchell missed some time. I think really, if Deebo Samuel is getting rushing touchdowns on top of what he can do through the air, and the 49ers are going to have to score some points tonight to win that game. So I love Deebo. To your point about Cincinnati, Tyler Boyd at Tennessee, 5,800. they're going to have to throw the ball to win. They're going to have to be balanced to really, Tennessee's very well coached, a very good defense. If Joe Burrow wins that game today, he has really arrived from a maturity perspective.
Agreed.
Forget about the stats. But if he's got the mentality to win this game today, that's impressive. Tyler Higbee, 5,400 at Tampa Bay. He's been really relevant in the red zone lately for the Rams. To your AJ Brown point, I couldn't fit him in. So I'll tell you what I did. And I don't remember the last time I played this guy in anything fantasy-wise, but Julio Jones, 5,600, home against Cincy. Since he should be able to score some points, I do believe Tennessee is going to have to be balanced. And this is why they have him. This is why he doesn't play a lot during the regular season. This is why he doesn't practice all week, to be as close to 100% today as he can be. So if there's any reason to have given him any money and to sign him, it's to give him some looks today. So for 5,600, hoping that translates. And then, I'm going to roll with the Titans defense, 4,100 home against Cincy. You save a little money versus the Packers and I believe the Rams and Tampa defense. And I do believe that the Titans are just really well coached. And I do believe that's going to translate into some defensive success today.
Absolutely agree with that as well. Our man Jeff says Mike Evans is only 8,300 on FanDuel. Only which is pretty expensive for a FanDuel player. Says there's really nobody else to throw to out there. Is he worth the play today? And I mean, for me, I think Mike Evans was really good when Godwin went out, and I think really great when Antonio Brown took off. So for me, I feel like Mike Evans is a slam dunk play. I don't think Tom Brady really trusts too many other people out there. I mean, obviously he trusts Bray, he trusts Gronk, but those guys haven't really been getting that separation necessary to get the job done. And today they're facing a linebacker core that's really, really good at covering tight ends. So for me, Mike Evans is about the only guy I like to play over there outside of Tom Brady. What about you?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is probably the biggest conundrum, in my opinion, with the expensive guys, because here's my thing with Mike Evans. He's the number one. He's going to get all the big looks because there's no Godwin, there's no Antonio Brown. But my issue is, it's Jalen Ramsey that's going to be on him. Now, week 3, Evans went for 8 and 106 against the Rams, no touchdowns. But the other thing is the pass rush. I do believe they're going to get to Brady. And then my other issue with Evans is this. He's 8,300. So you could play Tyreek Hill for 100 less. You could play Deebo Samuel and Devonta Adams for 300 or 400 more. And maybe not Hill, because Hill's been a little weird. But I think Samuel and Adams is safer than Mike Evans, because every once in a while, Evans puts up a clunker. We've talked about it against the Saints all the time, and it's there. And I just don't see how Adams or Samuel put up a fantasy clunker today. If one of those three, if you tell me now that out of Adams, Samuel, Kupp, and Evans, one of them's going to be disappointing fantasy-wise, I got to believe it's Evans out of those 4. Can't hear you. You're on mute.
No, I was saying, I think that that's absolutely correct. I think for the spend, you're going to get a lot more value out of those two players. I feel like Evans is going to be a solid play just based on volume alone. Man, it's good to hear from this guy. Trans-Siberian, what's happening, man? I'm glad to see you're doing okay. Hopefully things are starting to calm down. He says it's a little early for us, but who we got today? I got man, we were just talking about how much we like the Bills and how much we like the Kansas City matchup right there. One of the things we talked about at the very beginning there is how it just kind of scales into a good slate. Like, we start off with the worst matchup with Cincinnati, Tennessee, go into the one tonight with Green Bay, which is a little bit better, but I mean, it should be pretty much, I think it's going to be not really a one-sided shellacking, but I think Green Bay comes out and wins that game. And then tomorrow we get the Rams, and then tomorrow night we got the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs game. That's going to be incredible. So I feel like the guys that I've got out there are going to be basically oriented to the games tomorrow. Cooper Kupp, I really like a lot. I like a lot of the Mike Evans. Like, Mike Evans should be huge. Seeing Leonard Fournette starting to bounce back. looking like he's going to be a play.
That's a big that Fournette thing. That's a big deal too, because it looks like he's going to play. It's not for sure yet, but if he does play, for his price of 7,000, I mean the volume. People, we all have short memories in DFS. You have to, but the volume Fournette was getting in both the rushing and the passing game, and Ronald Jones is out. So if Fournette does play, we got to remember him real quick, because he's worth tinkering your lineup for if he's going to get his typical workload.
And he says, do we trust Mitchell or do we roll with Dillon today? I'm trusting Mitchell. I got Mitchell in my lineup. Mitchell's just been solid overall, and they're going to have to get him highly involved to win this game. I think Jones is still enough of a threat to Dillon that I'm not playing him.
I agree 100%. Mitchell's like $1,200 more than Dillon, I think, on FanDuel, but I think Mitchell's definitely the one to go with there.
The more solid play. And once again, man, because we were actually just caught us on the wrap up part there, bud. It looks like stuff is starting to really pop off over there on your border. So hopefully you're staying safe, staying low, staying ducked and covered and all that fun stuff, man. And like I said, you need a place to stay here in the U.S. You just hop on over. We'll make a couch spot for you there, Trans-Siberian. Get out of that hot mess that you're sitting in over there for sure. So on that note, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Make sure you visit us at toiletstotitles.com. Visit our Patreon at Patreon.com/toiletstotitles. Get on there, $3 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. The more you play, the more you get access to us. $10 a month puts us pretty much in your pocket 24 hours a day. $5 a month and $3 a month gets you in the Discord, gets you into the Frank and Stank at the $5 level, which is a really, really fun football tournament that's only growing bigger and bigger every season. So make sure you guys get on there. With that, we're going to go ahead and log out. Joe, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Do you have any other thing to back out on here?
Goonies never say die, my friend.
Goonies never say die. I love it. I've been watching a lot of that Goldbergs and all the stuff on there. It just still cracks me up, man. How nerdy I was back then and how nerdy I am still as a director.
As we're doing our fantasy football podcast.
Right. Exactly. So everybody, well, good luck to you this week. Let's watch some damn good football, and we will see you guys next week, same bat time. Actually, we'll probably be on Friday night. We won't say same bat time, same bat channel. We just come at you random here at the Dash of DFS, and but we'll definitely beat the slate. You guys take care and have